Yo, what up everybody? Welcome back to another video. Ari here, and today I'm just gonna get right into it because this is some pretty crazy news. So I'm not sure if you heard about this, and I guess this was on April 21st. So I'm actually really surprised that these news are just now coming up. But I recently saw this on Twitter and I figured, you know what? This actually brings me to a good video topic and something I, continuously talk about in many different videos, but particularly in this one, I want to talk about what happened with the FTC and Fashion Nova. So as you can see, I have an article here pulled up, and it basically states just in the headline that Fashion Nova will pay $9.3 million for consumer refunds to settle FTC charges. It violates rules on shipping refunds. So basically what they're saying is that Fashion Nova failed to deliver things on time for the customers and would issue gift cards to customers instead of shipping refunds. So if we read just even the first paragraph here, they're basically stating how they didn't properly notify customers and give them the chance to cancel their orders when they failed to ship things in a timely manner. So basically, if somebody would order something and then it never got shipped for a week, and they wanted to cancel the order because of that, they would basically say, sorry, you already placed your order, here's a gift card. I mean, obviously that's not a good business practice, but honestly, I wouldn't have thought that that was illegal. Not that I'd ever do something like that, because like I said, I do find that kind of sleazy. I would rather just give my customers the option to cancel their order if they really want to, especially if I haven't shipped something yet. Now, it would be a different story in my opinion if they ship something and the customer then wants to cancel the order. Well, it's already shipped, so it's kind of hard to do that. So maybe there's something I'm not understanding properly about this article, but I wanted to bring up the discussion of treating your customers right, because this is just one example of just the many shitty business practices that a lot of businesses in general sort of follow. I'm honestly not surprised now that the FTC is going after e-commerce businesses that are doing shady things. They go after other businesses traditionally that have provided really shitty services for people. It happens all the time. There's so many companies that are terrible. And if you go on any major company, like for example, Dell, you'll see that they are getting terrible reviews. So more money, more problems is true, I guess, when it comes to building a big corporation. And the scariest part of all this really is for dropshippers that have scaled businesses insanely. I mean, you guys probably have heard of Kevin Zhang's thing that happened with him. I'm not really sure what happened, and I don't want to talk bad on this guy's name. I don't know him at all, so I really don't know what's going on there. But I did read that one of his biggest stores that he scaled to 20 million was selling fake leather things and claiming it was real leather. I'm not sure how true those allegations are, but I'm sure there are tons of people doing those sorts of shady things like that. It makes sense that now the FTC would start looking at e-commerce businesses, especially after the pandemic. Now, we see that e-commerce is definitely rising hugely. So I'm really interested to see how many more things we're gonna start seeing here in the near future. Now, I quickly want to flex my customer feedback score because this brand's actually doing pretty good. Yesterday we did 1.7K in sales, so we're scaling up slowly but surely. And as you can see, but the biggest flex obviously for me is our customer feedback score. So as you can see, we're almost maxed out on our feedback score. So the highest score is 5, and the average score on Facebook is 3.9. And we're at a 4.7. So, I'm not trying to brag or anything, of course, but I am really proud of this number. And as you can see, what customers are most satisfied with when it comes to our store is the product quality. And that's been the thing that I've been telling you guys since the beginning of the year that I've been working on, is a brand in which I put quality at the forefront of everything. And this is really how I approach my life in general nowadays. I recently even made a tweet that summarizes basically how I feel about this, which was quality over quantity as a way of life. I personally believe it's best to do everything in the best way possible. When it comes to getting products, it's really important to get products that are quality and that provide value for people. That's what a business, thrives from. And I think these sorts of allegations and lawsuits or whatever against companies that don't practice those things, it's kind of karma, you know what I'm saying? If you are doing shady business, chances are it will come back to haunt you. It does feel right now like the e-commerce space is a little bit invincible because people in legislative positions are pretty old and they don't really know exactly what's going on right now. But there will come a time in which they will know what's going on, and they'll be looking back at the records of people that, generated pretty ridiculous amounts of money and see that a lot of them were doing it in really shady ways, and it will come back to haunt them. Now, of course, this isn't probably the video that you wanted to see today. I'm sure You probably wanted to see something a little bit more lighthearted. Now, Fashion Nova is getting about 20 million monthly visitors right now, which is pretty ridiculous. So I'm sure that this $9.3 million is not gonna, be a huge difference. So I'm not hugely concerned for the success of Fashion Nova. And in fact, I do think it's a really impressive business. My girlfriend shops at Fashion Nova. So yeah, I don't really have too many bad things to say about them. I mean, there's plenty of other fast fashion brands that probably do even worse things that they do, but they did get caught doing some sketchy things. And as I just mentioned, it did come back to bite them. So of course, a few things that you can do to avoid this is to actually communicate with your customers and set the expectations from the very beginning. If you don't ship things fast, work on shipping things faster. If you can't ship things fast, then at least notify your customers ahead of time that their things won't be shipped too fast, and just keep close communication with your customers so that there's no issues. Obviously, give people refunds if they deserve a refund. That sounds self-explanatory, but it's not, I guess. And before you know it, you'll be able to earn a feedback score like this. Now, the reason why I'm so in love with this business, aside from it being, sort of a passion project, is that the headaches are much different than with previous dropshipping stores that I've worked on. And this is why I preach brand, because I do believe in providing value for the world. And as I just mentioned, it's much more convenient for long-term growth to build something like this. I haven't dealt with any serious Facebook page bans or account bans, any PayPal holds. We still even use Shopify payments as our payment processor to avoid any fees from third-party payment processors. So if that doesn't speak to why it's important to build a good foundation, then I don't know what does. And like I said, it's something I'm really proud of. So that's why I'm showcasing it to you guys, not to brag, not to, boost my ego or anything. It's just to make sure that you understand that if you do things the right way, it will pay off. Even if it takes longer to grow, even if it takes more money to grow. Fashion Nova has scaled their business ridiculously. Now, I love fashion personally. I don't necessarily practice too much fashion. I mean, this is basically what I wear every day, is like just a chill outfit. I don't really leave my apartment too much, if I'm being honest. But I definitely respect the way that they've built their company. I mean, they're basically worth like $1 billion by now, I'm pretty sure. Okay, so I take that back. Last year, they were valued at 125 million, which is obviously still pretty ridiculous. Not gonna lie, I would have expected it to be much higher because, I mean, Movement got sold for 100 million and they weren't generating the sort of numbers that Fashion Nova is generating. My best guess as to why this is because they're not super profitable. I mean, I can only guess how profitable they are since they have so many different variants of things and different sizes. It's probably kind of a nightmare logistically, to be honest. So maybe I do understand why they didn't give refunds or whatever. I'm sure their business is really tough to pull off, but I thought this was pretty interesting. And of course, I'm trying to be consistent with my videos. I'm not trying to leave you guys hanging every Tuesday or Friday. Now, I will warn you guys, I am moving next week. I'm gonna try my best not to miss an upload day, but if I do for some reason, then you know why. I'm literally driving from Minnesota all the way to Arizona. I haven't lived out of state since I moved to this country from Chile when I was 11, so this will be a really interesting adventure for me. And yeah, a few practical tips that I want to give you here real quick. First things first is if you do have a slow delivery time, of course, make sure that you're working your best to try to solve that and ship things faster. But one thing that you can do is set your delivery speed. So if you just literally go on Google and look up Facebook customer feedback, it'll probably lead you to this page. And right here, you can set your delivery speeds. And if you want to, you could set your delivery speeds to like 8 weeks. I think that's the maximum. That way, Facebook won't send the surveys to your customers after 8 weeks. Now, I have mine set at 2 weeks, and the main reason why is because I want people to give a review close to when they receive the product. We ship everything for this brand from the US, but even then with USPS right now and in the pandemic, we've still been experiencing some delays. So sometimes it does take, 1 to 2 weeks for certain packages to go out. So I figured 2 weeks was enough to give us enough room to ship things fast and also for the customer to, not have too many complaints in the long term. So I figured that was a pretty solid number. And yeah, it's really important to worry about your feedback score, guys. Like I don't want to make this, you really need to take it seriously. It's not gonna be sustainable for too much longer to build these churn and burn stores. So you have to start thinking of ways to find something that you can stick to and that you can actually improve your systems more and more as you build it to make sure that you actually are getting good customer feedback. And that's how your brand will snowball over time, and that will reduce your cost of advertising and it'll increase your brand awareness since people are more likely to be able to tell their friends and family about your products and your brand. This is sort of what we've been experiencing lately. After all this year, it's been extremely difficult to build this brand from scratch, and it's taking a lot of investment, and now finally it's starting to pay off really well, and we're building basically unstoppable momentum. So I'm really excited for the future, but of course we only have the present, so it's important to make these adjustments as soon as possible if you're dealing with issues. So I don't want to make this video too preachy, but summary of it all is treat your customers right. Even if you're beginning from a disadvantageous position, don't use it as an excuse to not treat your customers right and to do sketchy things. I mean, I understand, having to bootstrap your business at the beginning when you're starting, but you need to start looking into improving your business in every way that you can. Otherwise, it's not really going to grow. Or if it does grow, it's going to grow upon like a really bad foundation. So it's going to crumble eventually. And when it does, it's going to be a nightmare. So please take my advice. I know it's free advice, and a lot of people sometimes don't want to listen to free advice. But yeah, you don't need to buy a course in order to learn this advice. Make sure that you build a good foundation from the beginning. It will pay off handsomely. I'll leave a couple videos in the description that I've made recently that sort of might help you build better foundations by finding better products or by setting up your website better through the 24-hour challenge I recently did. But beyond that, I do have an e-commerce course that basically explains the whole process behind building these brands and a bunch of other things like sourcing agents to help you expedite your shipping and other pretty awesome bonus resources. So make sure you check that out. It's called NetSphere, and we have a bunch of pricing options available for any sort of person here. And my last tip for you here is once you do start scaling, I mean, the biggest thing besides shipping time that you'll have to deal with is customer service. And what helps a lot with customer service is a CRM, customer relation management. And the one that I use is called Freshdesk. Now, there are other ones, of course, but this is the most valuable one in my opinion because it's low cost, but you actually get a lot out of it. And that's the sort of apps that I like to look for, of course. So make sure you check it out. I mean, I'm not going to do a full tutorial on this because it's actually really self-explanatory. But yeah, it's a great app and I strongly recommend it. So with all that said, let me know what you think about this Fashion Nova scandal or whatever. I know it might be a little old, but it just started resurfacing now, so that's why I decided to make a video about it. Let me know if you agree with what I said or if you have any other points to add to the discussion. I always appreciate you guys engaging with my channel in any way. Of course, make sure you join the gang, subscribe to the channel right now, and drop a quick like for the video. It always helps out. It's the little things that I appreciate the most. I hope you got inspired from this or learned something from this video, or even if you were just entertained, you just wanted to hear me talk. Hopefully you got something out of this. And with that said, I'll be seeing you in my next video. Peace out.